Hey everyone, Kaiser Soze here, Maximum Carnage. Today I'm going to bring a video from the war, our previous war, which ended up being a win for us, but there was a lot of problems with a lot of attacks. We didn't clean up nearly as many of the bases. This low number 9, there's 6 and 5. We mainly would have had cleaned up, I would say, in most of the wars that we've had, but we ran into a couple of issues, so I thought we'd just show a couple of the fails on the attacks, and I'll talk about why those attacks failed, and hopefully either from that we can talk about either things to avoid doing. People can not do those things later moving forward, or they can just slightly change them or tweak them or do something different to understand better about how come attacks failed. So there's a few to go over. We're going to start here with my attack on Ronan, and Ronan's attack was done by myself. So Ronan is my son. He had troops made, 9 needed cleaning, and I said I was going to start. So the first fail right off the bat is with the earthquake that's here. So I'm just going to pause for 1 second. I had counted up. Earthquakes are 8 tiles wide, which means you can take out 8 tiles of wall. And what ended up happening is I just miscounted. Not accounting for the little notch at the end. I thought I would be able to access both crossbows plus be able to have easy access to the archer queen jumping over the wall. So I thought, well, the X-bows plus outer access through this wall, because I'm going to be coming in between 12 and 3, and then access to that X-bow on the other side. And I don't have it. So that was the first fail, was just the total miscalculation on my end. So I didn't have that. And I said, well, we'll still be able to deploy, and let's just push through here. So I got a single golem with enough whiz that I'm going to be making a large enough funnel that I didn't think it was an issue. So step 1, I just drop some hogs at the bottom. They clear out the cannon, start pushing through to be able to pull the CC. I don't want to fight the CC in the middle of this base. So I dropped the golem, put in the whiz. I got all of the area clear. Now, on this particular one, I dropped the golem on one side of the building that is closer towards the whiz tower. I put the wall breakers on the other side of the building, which was closer to this archer tower. So I knew that the wall breakers, they're going to target the building closest behind the wall, which is the archer tower, but the golem ended up pinching in and going towards that archer tower, drawing fire from the whiz tower, and it literally had a wall breaker fail just because although I dropped the golem on one side, the wall breakers completely on the other side of buildings to get them to the wall in different places, they ended up joining up right at the same time a burst came from that whiz tower. So that's step 1, wall breaker fail. Here's the big problem now with step 2. At this point, I think I am in, and I drop my Valkyries, thinking that the closest things here are going to easily be behind the walls. Instead, every single Valkyrie gets dropped, and they all completely split in opposite directions. So that's a huge mistake. I could have just dropped a single one, and you can see what buildings they're targeting. Be a little bit more patient, wait a few more seconds, and then drop the rest of the bunch. Instead, I thought I had it, dropped them all, and both sets completely, like it just completely went in opposite directions. And of course the loon doesn't go down there either. The golem switches because the archer tower is gone, so it's going to pull and change targets and go all the way down to this archer tower, which drew the queen down below, which just delays her entry on being able to help out on everything in the core, and the entire attack is lost. So the importance of the wall breakers and establishing the funnel naturally is evident there. In order to take away stuff. I think it's just being a little bit more patient when it comes to dropping those Valkyries and getting the Valkyries inside. Alright, so the next attack we're going to look at is Auntie's attack on the same base. So this is naturally it's a southern teaser style, so she puts in 2 golems here right around 3 o'clock, puts the wall breakers in, tries a single hog to take and pound through that cannon to draw the clan castle. And we can hopefully see just what the problem is here already. So right there. So 149. So the attack started, but it was around 2 minutes 12 seconds. she puts down the first golem. Anytime you put down golems, you should get whiz, unless there's some real specific reason why not to do it. Once things, have targeted that golem, immediately putting down wizards to help establish the funnel by clearing out the trash is incredibly important. So it's been more than 20 seconds since she dropped the golem, and those golems have been under fire now for 20 seconds with nothing. And the wizards now being dropped naturally can't help the golems yet. They've got to get through all these trash buildings on the outside before they can get to the defenses and start dealing with the stuff that's hurting the queen. So the clan castle has been popped as a result of the golems. She drops the Barb King here without establishing the upper funnel with the wizards. So the funnels, naturally, you have to clear the outside and leave the buildings on the inside. So as a result of not doing that, the Barb King wanders at the top. She puts down a poison as it comes in to help deal with that clan castle. But naturally, the golems that are down underneath there are, they've just been under fire for too long and literally have only had the archer tower come up to kind of help a little bit. So you can imagine here, just to put it in perspective, you can see this Expo is still up and the Tesla is still up. She entered with 2 golems, a level 4 and a max golem at 3 o'clock, and has just now cleared the first compartment and hasn't even been able to get to the Tesla or the Expo in the corner. So naturally, that's not the way things are supposed to work. So she's got some hogs that are rotating around here now. And you can see that the poison was put on right where the hogs were. You have to put the poison where the hogs are going to be to trail those skellies through that poison, make sure that the hogs get rid of them. And now she's got Barb King just pounding away at the hogs with the skeletons, putting in some more hogs in support. And now sets off the double giant bomb, which of course obliterates all the rest of the hogs in there. And basically, the things to take, if the 2 danger spots are recognized over, especially if you've set off one set at 3 o'clock, chances are the other ones are going to be at 9. And you kind of want to be patient with the second grouping of hogs to come in after 9 o'clock. But, this attack already would have failed because of the difficulty associated with getting in on that entry. It certainly would have been hard to salvage just with the hogs alone, knowing that they had to work themselves through the Barb King. Alright, so the next one here I've got is my attack again with Alex. So on this base, this was the second attack, so I knew that there was only ground troops. So my plan was to attack here between 3 and 6. And as I'm entering the base, place a jump to help me get to the core, knowing that the clan castle troops are all ground troops. I'm going to be using Valkyries. The Valkyries are going to target those ground troops, which are going to help force everything on the inside, which is, what it was that I was looking for. And I thought, well, they can make a push into the main part of the core, and then I will just bring hogs around the outside. So I'm not going to draw the clan castle, even though it's a really easy lure. I'm going to use the clan castle troops, knowing they're not dragons. There's no air troops. I'm just going to use them to pull the Valkyries further into the core. So we've got an established funnel. I'll just stop this here for a second. So you can see the trash is being cleared on this side. Trash is being cleared on this side. Some of the trash in the middle that is right leading to where I want to go has been left. That is a funnel. The funnel is the breadcrumbs, if you will, that are going to lead troops into the middle. So I know that the Valkyries are going to hit those breadcrumbs. That's going to help keep them into the center, which is going to drive them into the middle of the base, which is exactly what I want. My heroes go down immediately afterwards, and at this point everything's looking pretty good. I drop the jump spell to give me access to 5 separate compartments, and basically that opens up a pretty good path. Although I probably would have been much better putting it on where this Tesla is just popping out there, because that would have still caught the corner of where this air defense is and opened up all the way to the town hall. So it's a little bit too shallow on that jump. The Valkyries end up popping, you can see the queen has jumped over several walls, and the queen is actually on the outside of the base. I would have expected her to be on the inside, but of course that's not the way it happens. So she was on the outside. All the Valkyries kind of delayed in getting there, and now we can see what part of this problem is. You can see the Tesla is still up. The clan castle has popped. My Valkyries have stopped doing what they're doing, and they've put aggro onto those clan castle troops. And we can see some clan castle troops here are still popping out. So because of that, this Tesla that should have been down really early has been ignored by the Valkyries. And now you can also see that there's troops in separate compartments. Some were up here by the Tesla, some were where the town hall is, and they still are, and some are over where this Tesla is. And what that did is it forced those Valkyries to really delay. They're not targeting defenses. They won't target defenses until those troops go down. So they're worried about that clan castle, and they're really fighting through all of those walls and not killing the defenses, literally, that are behind them, and killing them while that happens. So hogs go in from the bottom and from the top as a way of enveloping around, and the hogs themselves just didn't work enough in support. There wasn't enough distracted troops. I would have been much better putting them on a single side, but because I didn't account for that, and it was just a poor dealing with when it comes to the clan castle and what was going to happen, the attack was just destined to fail. There was no chance at that whatsoever. I'm going to switch now to Matt's attack. This was actually the first attack on that base. So here's the same base. And he's going to be dropping in a golem from around 9 o'clock. Once the earthquakes go in and take out all the center components. So here, you know, in a lot of cases, that's a pretty good thing to do. You can open up access. The difficulty, I'm just going to point out two things. The difficulty with doing that is you have to get through the outer layer of walls and an inner layer of walls everywhere at the base. So it becomes a bit more of a challenge to say we have to get through 2 layers of walls, which means that the funnel is really important. So you can see he's dropped the golem behind this barrack. So the golem gets pulled down towards the archer tower, and he starts, you can see a few whiz here a little bit too far south towards the 6 o'clock, and they are taking fire. So he hasn't dropped the other golem. The clan castle's been pulled, and the clan castle just completely destroys all the wizards. He puts a golem now to be able to draw fire and a few Valkyries to be able to deal with the clan castle. And naturally, if we just pause it here, we can take a look at his troops. So the clan castle pull, knowing that the clan castle is going to be pulled no matter what's going to be dropped, and dealing with the clan castle alone has cost him every single wizard. Almost all of his wall breakers are already down. Many of the Valkyries and a golem. So the cost associated with pulling that clan castle is just much, much, much too high. The other thing, and you can see this, he put in wall breakers after the Valkyries are busting through the core. He could have let the Valkyrie and the golem go a little bit deeper and then put in wall breakers somewhere towards 9 o'clock, and they would be targeting the clan castle or something to help break that second layer of wall. So just unnecessary there when it comes to the wall breakers and what's been put in. So at this particular point, realistically, it's almost dead. You can see that there's Valkyries kind of trickling in. Valkyries trickling in are almost never a good idea. They spread anyway, and they're really hard to control and hard to manage and hard to deal with. You can see now, although the funnel has clearly been established here between 9 and 6, there was nothing established between 9 and 12. And by not doing that, the Valkyries, instead of just heading into the core, will wander on the outside of the base, because those are the nearest buildings. They'll only pound through those walls if they're convinced, naturally, that the next closest things are behind those walls, and that's taking into account that they would need to break through them to be able to get there. So you can see here the heroes are there, the Tesla's in the core. There's no chance really with this attack. There's just not enough firepower to be able to deal with it. and it ends up being a fail. So there's a few things certainly wrong. The corner entry is difficult. The corner entry requires a really, really good funnel, because otherwise all you're going to get is troops as soon as they enter the base going from 9 o'clock up to 12 o'clock, or going from 9 o'clock down to 6 o'clock. If you want things to be able to go through the base and start on one side and go through the middle, it's much better to deal with the flat walls, and attack all the way along one side. Some flat wall space here is much better to attack than just up at the corner. If you want to drop at the corner, chances are the troops are going to enter, and then they're going to roll down anyway, or roll up. If you want things going through the core, you basically want a funnel, and then get them going through the middle of a flat wall between 3 and 6, 6 and 9, 9 and 12, or 12 and 3. And it's not to say corner entries never work. Certainly there's some bases that just really sets up well for it, or better, or there's some reason for it. But if there's not a specific reason and not something that you're going to try to take advantage of, it just doesn't normally work near as well. All right, so the next one we're going to show is actually a success on that same base. So now, having seen it, what's going to happen is Sam is going to open up using Earthquake. And you can see this has been counted. So she knows she's going to take this corner, like right here, the little skull wall right in the corner. And she's going to open up all the way down to this skull wall, which gives full access to the core anyway, because it's even going to be taking out the skull in this corner, so it's going to give access to both crossbows, the queen and the town hall, which is a much better way to open it, because now she's going to use a corner entry to be able to gain access to this space. So she intentionally puts this golem at a place that she's going to start dragging fire, and then drops the second golem outside of that to be able to establish 2 tanks at the end. And then as soon as they're in, starts putting some cleanup whiz. Wall breaks in to get the golem to start that push. The wizards naturally, again, referring back to Auntie's attack, they have to be doing their work. Look at those things are under fire. It's just simply not good. So she's now put in the Valks, knowing that a good funnel's been established. They're going to aggro onto that archer queen, which is going to help pull them in. And then from there, she's opened up that point at the end. So now when the clan castle gets pulled, there's almost nowhere to hide. You can see the little points here that are open up, these little spaces. And that was known and calculated at the time that the quakes were dropped. So a rage with a heal goes down in the core, and literally, we'll just pause it here, the clan castle, I think with the exception of this one whiz, has been taken care of already by those Valkyries. So the Valkyries now have made a much, much better push. You can see some hogs coming in from about 12 o'clock here. The second heal goes down to be able to keep those Valks up. Those defenses down low are distracted, although both heroes, neither of them went into the core, just with the speed that those Valks cleared out everything. They're doing a great job of working around down low, which is the opposite side of where the hogs were coming in, to be able to kind of meet up in the middle. So the remainder of the whiz goes down, which helps with the cleanup on the opposite side, and naturally just smashed the base. And although she has slightly higher heroes than Alex, and she also has level 5 hogs compared to Alex's number 4, that's purely a difference in deployment as opposed to troop strength that led to the 3-star result on that base. All right, so the last one here is going to be run on 6. So here we got Quad Quake going down, taking out the center compartment. And this is actually, well, this is the Go Lalun, so I'm going to pause that one, because I didn't want to necessarily show that. Although that was a fail, there was a few separate issues with Govalo, not Golalun, Govalo. So this was the one on number 5. So here he is once again coming in kind of right at the corner, which is again generally unnecessary when it comes to that. And I'm just going to touch this clan castle. You can see he's got hogs. I'm just going to pause it. A hog just placed, in front of any of these buildings here is going to easily pop the CC as soon as the hog gets to the archer tower. But he doesn't do that. He ends up coming in at a corner. The clan castle remains deep in there. Everything starts splitting. You can see he's got a jump down. He's forced to use a heal to try to keep those internal troops up. He's only got a couple of whizzies because everything is spread. You see that what's happened. Not everything is just made a beeline for the core. Things have started being dragged from 9 to 12, and things have been dragged from 9 down towards 6. Depending upon the firepower, you're just spreading out your few troops. You're spreading them out and basically opening up yourself to a lot more surface area in defensive structures that's going to take you out. So that drag doesn't go down. The clan castle in this particular base not being dealt with is a little bit crazy. Just when you think of you could pop it. A single hog here would pop that clan castle. And then you can fight the clan castle wherever it is that you want. If you don't want to anchor it and poison it down here where he's just placed that archer, that's fine. But generally speaking, on a base like this, you can pop the clan castle. Then you can come in on one single crossbow by attacking this base along the line between 6 and 9. And you do that against, up against the flat wall on 6 and 9, and you're going to have your troops wander. You can use the structure of the base. You can see these walls here and these walls that are here. Use those to keep your troops in. You can place on this base a jump spell right around where that X-bow is, and if you attack between 6 and 9, you're going to deal only with one X-bow at a time. You're going to give access to the crossbow, the town hall, all of the Teslas that are in the middle, and the archer queen on this base, and all you do is attack between 6 and 9 here, and it's going to help you out a lot. Attacking at 9 o'clock, spread troops up against those flat walls, and basically they just ran along this wall, and then the other troops ran along this wall, and then all of these defenses that are working their way at the time in the corner are all shooting some spread out troops. You have to keep your troops in a bit of a group. Not only does it help with spell placement, because one spell catches a lot more troops to help them, either heal or rage, what have you, but you want them also doing a lot more damage in a targeted way to be able to get through to an area, especially when phased attacks should have objectives. Take the clan castle, take the archer queen, try to go through a double giant bomb set. It's those type of things that you want to pay attention to that are really going to help. All right, so that's it for this one. Kaiser Soze, maximum carnage, more to